Hello, everyone. It's Jonathan here, founder of Driving Academy, and welcome to another episode of the Driving Academy podcast. And today we have a legend in the making in the trucking industry, Andrew Gomez. And he runs a successful trucking company, started with one. And you have how many trucks now, Andrew?
Right now it's getting to about 106 is what,
Boom, 106.
yeah.
So you want to make sure you're listening to the whole entirety of this podcast. We're going to show you exactly what real life looks like, opening up your very own trucking company, what a trucking life looks like as a driver, and everything else in between. And let's try to get as many nuggets as we can. And I know Andrew is an amazing guy looking to help out as much as he can. Is that right?
Let's do it. Yeah, no. Hopefully I can add in some value to what you guys are trying to plan for if you're a driver or if you own your own truck. Basically to try to get you to not lose hair, man. That's the key.
That's right. Or else you turn up like me, and we don't want that to
I
happen.
wasn't gonna say it, man. I wasn't. But hey, that's a common saying I always have, man. I'm just trying not to lose hair. I was trying to, in fact, when I was 20, because it's hard to sleep when you own trucks, man. It's just hard. But I was actually balding, like I was crowning right here from the stress, and it
Oh,
was,
wow.
yeah, I had to take a step back for a second and just kind of rethink my philosophy a little bit. That's what kind of got me to that self-development point. But I'm sure we'll get into it.
Definitely, yeah. So let's start off from the beginning. What got you into trucking in the beginning? When did you get your CDL license, if you even have one?
Yeah, so overall, what I did initially, my dad was in trucking, my brother was in trucking as well. They own their own companies for, my dad was in trucking for 30 years. And so when it came to that, he only owned one truck. I mean, when I started my company, we were in a two-bedroom apartment as well, because I was just finishing up with high school. But when I started out, the main focus was to take advantage of the opportunities that I saw. And in regards to that, it started off with figuring out a plan, and that was hard because overall, I was focused on the fires of just life in general, trying to figure out what I wanted to be. I knew that this was kind of in my blood. I mean, I felt like that. And I knew that I didn't want to just go work somewhere. I mean, at the time, I had a full ride to go to Baylor whenever I was finishing high school, and I ended up not taking it because I was going to stay here instead and try and figure this out. I ended up going to UTSA for the first couple of years. So whenever I bought my first two units, that was a lot of happenstance. That was a lot of luck. I mean, for the most part, when I came in the dealership, the local Freightliner, they had two units that they were not. I mean, they were not selling them. That was just basically what was going on. And those two units, they thought they were duds. They thought they were lemons, and they wanted to offboard them. And I have had my fair share of lemons throughout my trucking life, but at this point, those two got me through initially because I had the opportunity initially beforehand with Amazon to pair up and figure out just loads that were like $5, $6 a mile round trip with power only. It's like you didn't even need a trailer because Amazon had
Wow.
so much logistics in 2015, 2016 that you didn't even, you could throw a rock and they needed to load from you. So that was something that before the Amazon app, before Amazon logistics, we scaled. And the only reason that I found my niche was nobody was going to be awake at 1 a.m. to receive a call. And so I had a broker from C.H. Robinson, and me and him paired up. I speak to him today, to this day, about those situations. We always say those were the good old days. But basically, we started to focus on managing my two units, and I
Did
paired
you
up.
drive one of them or no? Did you
No,
hire drivers?
no, I had drivers
Nice.
instantaneously. Like, so at that point, I knew that I was just going to focus on the management side. I had no overhead costs at all as an 18-year-old, at 19-year-old at that point. So mainly I was just focusing on not paying myself, and everything went into the truck. And whatever I had extra was into savings or into buying the next one. And
Cool.
so
And
as
for
we
those people, for those people who are in that position now who want to start something, some of those people say, "Hey, I want to get my CDO license so I can be my own driver." You went the route, "Hey, I just want to be the manager of it." What would be some pros and cons going one route or the other?
Well, shoot, you're going to be crippled as a manager. I was for a long time, and that was simply because the only luxuries that I had was that I didn't have an overhead costs like in regards to personal life. in general. I didn't have a house payment. I was still living with family. I didn't even pay for food, man. I mean, shoot, I was barely doing my own laundry, right? But at the same time, my main focus was that this had to be successful. This trucking company had to be successful. Once I put my name on the doors, it became real, and I had to. You go through your bouts of depression at the fact that you can't find any opportunities. You go through the frustration and the suffering at the fact that your truck is in the shop and you can't do anything about it. And so initially, when you get to that point, you have to come to expect it. That's one thing that you'll learn really fast. If you stay in the game long enough, you're going to get desensitized to a lot of fires. You're going to be up 3 a.m. because the driver's calling you at Love's. You're going to be up in the first thing in the morning. Just because you were up that 3 a.m. on call, you still have to get up 3 in the morning. You got to go find the next loads. That's something that when I tell people, and people have asked me about buying a truck and trying to figure this out, if you have the opportunity and you have prior experience, absolutely, let's make it happen, and you can start hitting the ground running. But be advised, it is a lifestyle change. Your truck is not a get rich quick scheme, and it never was. And that's when I put my name on the door, I realized I signed my life away for 5 years. And actually it was 6 years because they pushed those first two trucks, term limits as far as possible. And it was just as a favor, like,
Mhm.
as a favor because the financier knew who I was, because I'd always go get truck parts. And so, man, it was I look back on those days, and I was definitely blessed for starting that. But once I got the opportunity, I was literally, my home was my spaceship. And I'm
Yes.
probably going off into a tangent in general, but I was always on my computer at home. If I was working out, I would have to do a workout at 3 a.m. just to kind of stay sane. I was missing birthdays, missing family stuff, whatever. And that was my life from all the way 18 by the time I finally figured out the purchase, and then all the way up to 2022. I mean, at this point, I'm 26 now, but those years, I guarantee you, I couldn't even remember. It just happened in the blink of an eye, and all of it was not fun. So
Wow.
that's something that you have to really think about when you're getting into this game.
Definitely. So at 18, you made the first investment into your trucks. What was the reason why you did not want to drive one of them?
So what I figured out was, I mean, personally, at the time, if I'm just being 100%. I didn't want to drive in general. I mean, I knew
Mhm.
for a fact that there was the answer. You're making this much money in this opportunity, but if you find more and more ways to save money outside from a business standpoint, from a fleet standpoint, or if you don't, I didn't have any overhead costs. So the first thing I did was I said, what are my driver's costs? I instantaneously included them because I knew that my goal was to grow and increase and scale. And so when I'm on the road, there's less and less time to study and figure that out and do that, or find more opportunities. I figured out that's where I grew best, management of the actual trucks. And some people are different. I've seen people be really successful. They're on a horse alongside their teammates, and they are running alongside and they're driving too. And that's really common in regards to trucking companies. There's two things that I'll see. It's one, it's a family business where it's passed down, or two, the owners themselves are driving. And so,
Yes. And I guess the
what
benefit behind that is you get to reduce money on labor, so it's more profit to the owner, especially if you have to pay for a family and all that.
Precisely. Yeah. So it's just a niche that an opportunity I had because I didn't have any overhead at all. So I
Yes.
was like, I'm just going to include a driver already so that I can push for growth in the company and also for the management. Because I saw that Amazon itself was an infant. It was just a high paying customer shipper before it was all of these DCs. They had the DCs, they just didn't know how to coordinate everything from a national scale for years. So that's where we
Correct.
were taking advantage. I mean, shoot, I'll tell you, I had trailers with JW Logistics in 2017 and I had trailer interchange with them at one point. And man, they didn't ask for those trailers back for like 6 months. Like they were just sitting in my yard. And so, just stuff like that. The supply chain was not in real time back then,
Yes.
And
Mhm.
so that's a big focus for you now. The environment is vastly different. You have way more connections as a business owner, but that also reduces the barrier of like if there's the doors of opportunity have now became slivers of opportunity. So now it's harder for you to go find it, but you have better tools to go and find those opportunities, and also a plethora of information like your podcast to receive more and more wisdom and foundation. Because a lot of my stuff that I did, I was living vicariously through others, through other business owners. I had really good friends that were that they own repair shops. They one of them gave me a 14-foot high cube van trailer. They were just farmers. They had two extra ones. They just gave me one. And I was like, hell yes. And I utilized those trailers in Amazon for, maybe two years, I think, something like that, first couple years. And then just finding those connections is really the key. And then managing your expectation quickly and realizing it's a long game rather than, focusing on that golden nugget of $1,000 that week extra. The
Yes.
trucking industry is a life cycle game. It's not like tech. I always say it's not sexy in general. It's, hey, can you outlast everyone else? And can you get comfortable in this furnace that is the industry? Because it is always going to be what it is, and that's hard in general. And that's with a bunch of people who are grizzly and or not grizzly, who are just grumpy old people, or guys who are from India trying to talk to you into rates that are 90 cents on the dollar or 80 cents on the dollar. There's just so many so many obstacles to your success, and you have to be able to live vicariously through others to dodge them. That's why I'm here.
Nice. Very cool. And I'm sure you've grown along the way,
Oh yeah,
tremendously.
absolutely. I think
So after the two trucks, what was the scale from there? What did that look like?
um, every penny I had saving into additional units. So from there, I was still getting used units for the first few years, and the main goal for me was to just find stuff that is going to work for that opportunity. Because Amazon was a not a slow burn. It was a major bonfire that is going to go out at one point. And
And when
luckily,
did you know that was going to go out? Because
I
I
when
remember
they
that time
developed it,
period.
yeah, when
Okay,
they
go ahead.
developed the Amazon app, I knew it was
Nice.
gone. Yeah, after that, I was like, it's done, because most people were like ready to hop in, and you were competing against a one truck owner operator guy who barely got his CDL, barely got everything, and then just hopped in a truck, and his truck was an '06 Freightliner. Like, that was a piece of junk, no AC. Like, that's what I saw, and I figured out the people who ended up working for me ended up starting to go work for Amazon directly. So I was like, it's understandable. It's just business. So what I had to
Mhm.
figure out after that was, where is the niche now that's in San Antonio for me, in Texas at least, that is going to allow me to grow and scale. And so what I partnered up when I partnered up with my current customers now, that was probably in 2019. But I guess before I get there as well, just with the scaling, I have this 5-page document I can send you later, where basically how it shows how I was focused on the next truck every single time I had any profit. And then it also showed me what I budgeted for maintenance and repair. One good thing that even I take hold of right now is that I do PMs so early, it's ridiculous. And I have a higher service cost, but I have 5 trucks that have lasted me, including the first 2 that I bought, at 1.3 million miles, and they're still driving to this day. And so
Nice.
those trucks, and I refuse to sell them, but those trucks are, if taken care of, they're going to get you through where it gets you through that term, that bank term, 60 months, 72 months, whatever. And then you'll be able to utilize them locally or retire them, whatever. And so that's the mindset. It's the long-term mindset, and then the ability to hoard cash and always be preparing for that next valley. Because in trucking, it I always say trucking makes you lose hair, like you saw, but if it's not the truck, it's the driver. If it's not the driver, it's the work. If it's not the work, it's the weather. If it's not the weather, it's probably you. You're probably sick. Something is going on all the time. And it took me, the first few years were bad. I mean, I was balding, crowning, because I was just so stressed out. I did not know what to expect, and I got hammered. I was just, look, thank God I had my family to support me, like with a lot of just support in regards to the wisdom of what trucking is. I got a lot of wisdom from my dad. I got a lot of help when it came to managing and understanding finances from my brother. My brother helped me out, and he helped me understand where I need to be for to stay in the green, but also temper my expectations, because a lot of times I had to go find out. There was a lot of months I had way too much month and I had not enough money. So
Oh, yes.
you're gonna get to that point and have to create levers. And that's what successful trucking companies do. They create levers or walls that prevent you from failing. And so whenever business is good, I'm creating another wall. I'm creating another line of credit. I'm creating another, something additional that will help me in the future because I expect it to come, even now.
For all those naysayers out there who say, no, there's no more money in trucking, what do you have to say to them?
Hey, I am going to say that the opportunity is still there, but you are not the traditional way, like not the way it used to be. So the guys selling the dream, and when I say that selling the dream, I mean you're leasing a truck to a company's leasing a truck to you, etc. I have seen 100, I mean, 95% of those guys, every single one ends up not being successful because they are just bogged down by another company. So if you're going to go and be successful, it has to be based off of your own merit. It has to be based off of you trying to go find the opportunity yourself and not depending on any third parties. Those guys have the wit, the grit, and they have the wisdom to be successful. And I've seen them. I've seen guys grow quicker than I have, and start way later than I have because they found a more delicate opportunity. It's based off of who you know. When you ask that question and you say, hey, there's no success in trucking, and I have this truck. Okay, well, how many calls have you made that week to go find new business? How many calls have you made to other repair shops to lower your costs? How many books have you read? I've read through all of my manuals for all the units that I have to know exactly what is going on with my units and written them down and meticulously in notes because I don't want a driver to know more than me. I've known guys that are trying to tell me, hey, I want to be successful in trucking, but don't want to listen to more than one freight podcast. It's that's what I'm saying. In any industry, it's all the same. If
Mhm.
you're going to put in the work to be successful, you will be. But at the same time, you have to know where to start. And that's why I'm trying that's what I'm trying to express to others. It's knowing where to start is finding the opportunity first, talking to the right people. They have conferences, freight conferences with shippers, procurement managers every single year, and you're not going to them. People are putting out websites in 30 seconds with ChatGPT, and you don't even have a website for your trucking company. How can people find you to get an opportunity? That's my problem when it comes to the naysayers, and also when it comes to the commenters. That's just, there is an opportunity there. And the people who are making excuses will continue to, while the hustlers are not talking and they're making money. So
That's right.
that's what I had to say about that.
Beautiful. So is it easier now running a company with over 100 trucks versus running a company with two trucks?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it just depends, man. New levels, new problems. I will say that. I always say that. Even this past week, I said we are at a point where I have never been. So at this point, everything I must prepare for. And so my thought process doesn't change. No matter what type of success you have in general, trying to keep it is what matters, in my opinion. My goals back then were just to get rich. Now my goals are to support everyone who I take charge of. And that's my goal. My goal is to make sure everybody else is fed before I can go to sleep. And that changes over time. That changes you, or owning a company changes you in that mindset over time, because it ends up not being about you anymore. It ends up being about everybody who's you're giving bonuses to on Christmas, and all those kids that are happy, and the drivers that are happy, and they start to talk positively about your company. That's something that you create. And that only comes from a lot of sacrifice and a lot of
Yes.
saying no to the extra $200-300. Just give it there to your to who you need to give it to. And I understand most people would disagree, try to, siphon as much money as you can as possible. But there's a reason why a lot of trucking companies are not in business today. It's because you have not fostered relationships well. And that is what matters. That is absolutely the key to success in trucking. The only thing that can't be automated is a face-to-face conversation with a CEO and he likes you. And that's
That's
the
right. Yeah.
different story. You
Mhm.
go and see something in efficiency, and every company, every corporation, Fortune 500 company is going to have your paper pushers. But at the end of the day, what matters is your conversation with this with these owners and with the controlling parties, because those people are going to be what runs the supply chain, even if it's a little bit more expensive. But what matters is who you are, how you enact business, and if you're able to weather the storms.
Yes, 100%. Yeah. And based on what we do here at Driving Academy, we kind of get people ready mindset wise, not just get ready for the CDO world itself. Like that's definitely an important thing because if you can't control this up here, your future is going to be very uncertain.
That's right.
Now, when it comes to after getting your CDL license for a lot of our students, there's a few different paths that they can go through. They can become a driver for a company, a great company like yours, where then they can do like local, regional, over the road. They can become an owner operator, like a one man show, or they can kind of scale out to be at the level that you're at now. If we can, let's go level by level. What's an average driver make for your company? And is it local, regional, over the road? What type of work is there?
Overall, you're going to see our local drivers, which it's just a rare opportunity because most of the drivers that I hire locally, I retire basically from OTR teams because we specialize in OTR teams and team expedite freight. And that's going to be for, the postal, or it's going to be for other industries in the refrigerated space, or in the retail space. And so one of the things that we take pride in is being able to have more of a flexible schedule, and that's my niche when it comes to drivers throughout Texas. That's why a lot of drivers will commute here to Houston, from Houston or from Dallas or from Laredo to San Antonio, because I'll work for 5.5 days, and then after that you can take your 34 or 40 hour reset on average back home. And that's for the OTR specifically. For local, in regards to a payment, usually it'll probably average to around 1,500 a week, something like that, gross. And that's just kind of off the top of my head. And that's just to take care of them. But also, locals do more than just deliver or pick up loads. They're reporting, they're inspecting fleets. They're busy, and that's a
Mhm.
guarantee for us to manage our risk management, or to manage our risk. So then you have your regional drivers. Regional drivers are averaging around 1,800 a week on gross. And that's one thing that we have also started to really ramp up this year, where on average dry vans are around 55 cents per mile, and reefer solos are roughly at around 60 cents per mile because they have some additional checks they have to do. And then you have your team drivers. Team drivers average between 68 and 72 cents per mile. Unless they're doing my specialized projects, then they're at 78 cents per mile split. But that's just split down the middle for the jobs that they do. And we've been working with Loadstop a lot to work on trying to give all of our drivers the ability to see their payment as they're making it. And that's started to work well. We're going to see some new opportunities there. Just because the goal is, and one thing that's a little different for us is that we pay every Tuesday and Friday after the first week. I don't have like a biweekly, I don't have a monthly, and this
You
isn't
pay twice a
started
week.
from the very beginning,
Wow.
because it's just, as a truck driver, you need to transition quickly. You got a family to feed. And I saw that early. Like I saw that when we had only a few units. And so since we're paying every Tuesday and Friday, your cutoff being Wednesday. So every Thursday and Friday that gets paid on Tuesday. And then the rest of the week gets paid the following Friday, with no week in the hole. Drivers love that. And then, we have our per diem, and you have your additional taxes taken out, and then they're happy with that. So that's what has kept our drivers happy, consistent. I haven't had any complaints regarding payment. Usually it's just specific detention or hourly, stuff like that, or layovers, But
Nice.
for the most part, most of my contracts are focused on like drop and hook. So that's the key for us, is to the first thing I had to realize was that the drivers are the lifeblood, arms and legs of what we're going to be doing. So one thing I always thought is I'm not going to reduce the driver's pay ever. And two, I'm going to pay them as fast as I can. And that has helped me get to where I need to get to because I put that thought process of driver first and he puts the truck first and safety first in return. And that helps a lot.
Wow, paying your guys 2 times per week, that's insane. For the people who really don't understand business itself, but how much stress it actually puts on you as a business owner to pay out twice a week. You don't even get paid twice a week from your vendors. So like you
Yeah.
have to front all this money up front. So that's tremendous respect and tremendous love you have for your team. And that shows big character for you. So congrats on that.
Yeah, I mean, you did have to factor in the factoring company amount that they take out, and then you get factoring, so you'll get the money as soon as you pay for it, and or as soon as you receive it from a factoring company who buys out your services rendered. But still, I thought that if I can get this going, this is how I beat my competition. This is how I get more drivers because throughout 2019, 2020, drivers it was hard to get them because they were heavily sought after and the drivers that we wanted were heavily entitled because they had experience and they were wanted by four other companies. So it's like, we just did the little things and then we cut our losses where we needed to because I always tell my team now, I would tell a driver, hey, if this doesn't work out for you, no problem, go ahead and head on back and we'll move forward and best of luck to you. But I'd much rather not have issues on the road if I can.
Yeah.
So yeah, moving forward from there, it was just a good opportunity for us to kind of be ahead of the current market.
And for the people with a CDL license, I mean, that just goes to prove once you have the CDL license and you have some skill set underneath you, some experience, like you become a super valuable asset in this marketplace. Like you're going to have companies like yours fighting over you if you're that good and that qualified. Of course, you go through an interview process to make sure you only keep the best of the best and that culture fit. But for anybody looking to get a CDL license, it's definitely a valuable asset to have lifelong. Would you agree with that?
Oh yeah, I think that so a lot of drivers in regards to what you're doing now, me as a trucking company, what I looked at, of course, is your motor vehicle record, making sure there's no issues. But after that, it's, hey, did they take the time to do their doubles? Did they take the time to do their twit card? Because then I'm like, past this man. This man is already they are taking care of their license versus somebody who's just coming out. A lot of so the structure changed. I'm not getting a lot of guys who are 65 years old, been in the trucking industry and been you know, uh, flatbed haulers for 30 years. And, I'm not getting that as much. What I'm getting is a guy who's right out of CDL school, like yours, and who's trying to find an opportunity. And I'll tell them the same thing. I'll say, hey, you need to get some more years under your belt, or find somebody who can train you and bring them alongside with you. And if they pass my trainer schedule or trainer interview and trainer tests, then I may be able to use the both of you as a team. But other than that, you got to pay your dues. And so that's the realistic part of starting in this industry. But after that, if you are a person who, one, takes care of your CDL, two, invests in yourself with education and in regards to safety, and then in regards to taking care of your unit, doing the drivers that I love the most are the ones that carry fuses with them. They're the ones that have their own, they have their little, own fire extinguisher. Some of them change the air brake, the red and blue pullers
The
and the
knobs, yeah.
yeah, the knobs. They changed the knobs on the truck into like brass knuckles. They take pride in what they're doing, and those are the drivers that stay here for a long time. I mean, a lot of the drivers that I have, husband and wife, brothers, they've been here for a very long time because one, I always tell them, I'll take care of you. You take this truck to 400,000 miles, I'll get you another one. We keep doing it. And two, I will not leave you hanging. If you have a problem, you let me know. And that's how it should be. It's not how it is all the time. I will say that. So you just got to, see where people are selling the dream, find the transparency, and work from there.
Yeah. So when it comes to our students, we also offer lifetime job placement. So a lot of our students always come up with these questions. Hey, I should go to this company. They have a sign-on bonus. I should go to that company. And then we always advise people to say, hey, watch out for all of those things. Make sure you don't sign anything because we believe it's a two-way street. You should be adding value to the company that you're with, but also the company should be working hard and upholding what they promise to make sure that you're staying along with them. We
Yeah,
believe in freedom. We don't believe in being tied down to something just because you signed a piece of paper.
that's right. I've never offered a sign-on bonus in my life, and that was for a reason because the guys who want a sign-on bonus are fishing. And
Mhm.
uh, one thing's for sure, if you're talking to a recruiter from a different state trying to recruit for this other company in a different state, run like hell. I'm telling you, because they don't really know what's going on in the company. You're just gonna go over to some random city outside of a major city, get into a truck, and you'll be in that truck for 2, 3 months. I have seen it be successful, yes, but I have also seen a lot of horror stories. And so that's just my 2 cents in regards to the system. I'm not saying it doesn't work. I'm just saying, in my experience, I have not seen it be successful long term. So you got to think about what the red flags are. Don't chase the money because you got to chase the opportunity of consistency as a truck driver. And the guys who really focused on that, they started to build around transparency with me. They take their a lot of I don't know, a lot of truck drivers like cruises. So a lot of them do their cruise in December and then they take their time off during the holidays and then we get back to work, you know. They
That's right.
understand my schedule, I understand theirs and we go from there. So I think that's something that we take pride in. We do by a success by congregations process. And in regards to that, it's basically I'll hire more drivers than I actually need in preparation for drivers who are going to take time off. You know, so when you take time off, I'm not going to go be extremely pissed off at you for for taking your time off and because your mom is sick. You know, I instead am going to say no problem. I'm going to just make sure you don't leave anything valuable in your truck. I'm going to use it. You know, that's basically one thing that we have. I'm not necessarily slip seat. I remember around 40 trucks we were, but now it's everybody's pretty much assigned a unit at this point, except if you're just brand new, you need to get into the system. So it just depends.
Nice.
You find
Very
those
cool.
little bits of areas where those little nuggets where or companies who are transparent, you stick to them. That's just the goal.
That's right. Yeah. And it's the goal is not to get rich quick, it's to get rich for sure. Right.
That's
So
right.
anything that's worth doing is worth doing over time. And the people who are the most successful are the people who do the basics every single day in and day out, and they move the needle little by little. And
That's right, brother.
that's it.
Couldn't agree with you more.
When it comes to your success now, you're running a huge company, over 100 employees, over 100 trucks. Is it worth it? All the late nights, all the 7 day week work days, 100-hour work weeks, kind of thing.
I mean, I love it for what it is. I'm not saying that if there's things that I wish I would have done for sure on the way. I mean, I wish I would have not had such a negative mindset about business and ownership, but the thing about humans is that we're the most adaptable individuals on earth. And so when I finally figured out how to change my philosophy and when I figured out that my goals should not be self-centered, they should actually focus on others, it made business so gratifying for me that I just was addicted to it and I loved it. Before when I started and especially when the bills kept coming and the problems kept coming, I wanted to run as far away as possible, go back to school, man, just like everybody else. I understand. But it's what you're going to do in that furnace that makes the difference. And some people will do it. Other guys will sell the trucks. Other guys buy the trucks, and that's the industry. So, yeah, I think for the most part, I think I answered that question.
Nice, cool. And when it comes to people who are trying to start their own trucking business, whether they want to be owner operators or not, what are the top three mistakes that you see people doing?
They'll buy a truck without having any prior knowledge of how to utilize a truck or operate a truck in regards to from mechanic perspective, a mechanical perspective, or a fleet management perspective. They will listen to their friend who is making $10,000 a week on a crazy opportunity, not realizing that it's not a contract and that it's just a semi month, like 2 month opportunity. And then getting into trucking, knowing you have 12 payments a year and only being able to work 4 months out of the year. That's a very consistent one. And then number three would be just keeping strict accounts. I think that if you are going to have the opportunity to buy a truck, you have to do your due diligence as if you're buying a piece of real estate. I mean, in hindsight, I wish I even did more because I absolutely got screwed. But at the same time, I was lucky too. I mean, for my first truck, the one of them that I had, luckily I had bought the extended warranty with it, and I got a brand new engine by the time it hit 72,000 miles. And if I didn't, excuse me, it had 472,000 miles. And since I bought the warranty, the cylinder liner had cracked, and if I didn't get that warranty, man, it would have been ridiculous. So, it's just being able to create more walls to manage that risk is going to be the key for you. And also, that's a big risk that I don't see other people doing. I see them just looking at the money. The goal is if you're going to get into trucking and you don't pay a truck off 100% where you can just park it, then you are going to be in a lifestyle and not a job. It's going and working for yourself, but realizing that there's nothing but uphill battles ahead of you. But if you find those niches, and if you, that's what I want. I want people to group up as owner operators or talk to people, continue to find more opportunities. Everybody says brokers are the enemy. Talk to 100 of them. I guarantee you somebody's going to give you an opportunity that might fit your niche because that's all they're doing. And then have them work for you. That's a different mindset. Then you're going to be successful. But that's just my 2 cents on a lot of things that people could avoid if they change their mindset early, and also if they don't go in blind.
Yeah, that's true. Very good advice. When it comes to like maintenance, that's one of the biggest issues for brand new truck drivers. What
Yeah.
would you recommend on a maybe a cent per mile or percentage of income that they should keep aside for like a rainy day maintenance fund?
Well, I mean, whenever you're starting, the goal is to always have something in the tank early, a savings account. I didn't. I mean, I was just lucky. I will say at that point when I started, I did not have much. At one point, I was trying to figure out how to take a payday loan out to fix one of my units because it didn't have a bumper for 2 months. Like that stuff is the real deal. But in regards to the costs of your maintenance, the goal is to focus on what you have for personal maintenance on top of additional costs for tires, on top of additional costs for any type of major repair. So 7% of whatever I'm pushing in general is gonna, and that's net profit, is gonna go into a savings of some sort where I'm trying to figure out where I can save that type of revenue. And two, I'm another opportunity if you have the credit is to utilize your business to open up additional lines of credit as soon as you can, or asking smaller banks, regional banks, figuring out, hey, can I open up a line of credit? Or what is my tailwind? Oh, well, you have not enough history, or you have this account that's really messing up your credit. If you fix it, you can maybe get a $5,000 line of credit or a credit card with us. Start your credit early because that stuff is going to save you when you don't have that cash flow yet and you're trying to get there. And of course, you just have to start to educate yourself in regards to the credit game because that's what I did right when I was able to have a credit score. I was in there trying to. I went to a small bank, my local Broadway bank, and I got a personal loan of $500 to start practicing on consistent payments because all they need is consistent payments. I had, I think, like 4 payments by the time I was buying my first truck. But again, that was just a lucky opportunity and happenstance. But I will say that to this day, that is the reason why at this point I am able to have as much buying power as I have. And so that's another opportunity for you to focus on creating money and utilizing other people's money for now until you can find that lucrative opportunity and grow cash flow positive. Because any type of cash flow you're going to have, expect that you're going to have those repair bills, expect that you're going to have something that's going to float for maybe 30 days, maybe 60 days. But other than that, you're going to, and make sure it's not on a credit card that, you pay off late. But at the same time, after, you're going to be focused on using the additional capital you have to get your next truck and create additional revenue. Because that's the only way up, is you use your revenue generating assets to create additional cash flow, and use your cash flow as best as you can. And any type of additional cash flow that you have, go straight to savings for additional business. I saved 95% of everything that I made for the new truck or for whatever emergency we had. And that was consistent throughout my first 4 or 5 years.
Nice. Very cool. Now, one thing that we truly believe in is scaling and growing, whether it's your life or your business. How much easier is it now to buy a truck or to finance a truck at a 100 plus truck fleet versus when you're just starting out?
It is a hell of a lot easier because you have the history. I mean, that one's just, I mean, at the same time, I'll focus on more of the beginning. I think you just have to prove that you have the wherewithal to be successful. Because I remember my conversations, my first conversations when I was buying the trucks with the decision makers, because they call you right after you're getting a final approval and they want to talk to you about your business. They want to talk to you about who you are, about what you do. And yeah, sometimes it's a 5 minute call, but the first few times for me, they were really getting into me. And shoot, and back then my voice was super high pitched. So I sounded
Mhm.
like even more of a kid out here trying to be successful. But I knew what I was talking about. I rehearsed it at home and I was like, yeah, I had this opportunity at Amazon. I've been doing it for a few months. I've been utilizing these units instead of my own units in order to accomplish these loads. But I have the opportunity to take over this contract. And I called it a contract, but it was just a wherewithal broker who had the opportunity at the time. And nobody else is able to take this at 1 a.m. I guarantee you. And it's going to be for as long as I want. And it was for a few years. But they believe me. And that's when they approved the final loan. And when somebody who is hired to call you out on your BS approves you, that's where you're like, okay, we got somebody. We got somebody. Let's make it happen. And I paid off the truck, so I'm glad they gave me that truck in the very beginning. But still, that's what it takes to be successful. It's rehearsing, figuring out any little piece or process that you can utilize in your life to manage risk and reduce it. If I'm calling drivers consistently, still to this day, it's because I want to reduce it by 1 to 2% to get them out of that tunnel vision that they have. Because all drivers have is 11 hours to think on the road. And I refuse to just sit here and let my team or my drivers be complacent, because that is what leads to incidents. It's what leads to safety accidents, complacency, all the negatives that this industry is. And we don't cut corners. And even more so, I have higher expectations for them. So that's that's the rundown, I think, for the success. And I forgot your question too, but yeah,
Yeah, that's cool. So when it comes to, let's talk about how you were able to kind of grow. How many trucks did you guys purchase last year in 23?
23. I purchased 12 new, or no, yeah, I purchased 15 new in total in 2023.
So you were able to increase your fleet by 15 new trucks in 2023 when a lot of people were getting shaking the industry. What's your secret about your success? How do you keep growing year over year? What kind of customers do you go after?
The secret is just being very transparent with your costs and overestimating your costs, realizing that you will operate in the red some months, but always utilizing your levers in order to get you into the next 6 months, etc. Especially with how the market is right now. Finding new opportunities is few and far between because the entire market, you have companies merging. The more I see mergers, the more often that I'm thinking, okay, it is time to hunker down, make sure that my costs are an absolute minimum. If I have any type of shaving that I can do, I do it. And then making sure that my drivers, everybody's taken care of. If I'm not making any additional profit that month, understandable. Move forward into the next month. However, I realize that if I'm managing my assets correctly, then I should be able to continue growth. And so that's what I did this past year as well. I managed my assets accordingly. I found new opportunities and I was able to grow with them because they required trucks in an industry or in a market that doesn't usually require trucks. So, and that was mainly inside of, the mail service or some of the retailers that were here throughout the United States. Several had drop trailer opportunities. So I saw that traditional drive-in truckloads are down. Everybody and their mother needs loads. But whenever you try to have bids for drop trailers, I had additional assets in trailers. So I'm dropping trailers, and then that gives me a monopoly on that opportunity. And so you have less and less people who have the opportunity to drop off 5 trailers and then utilize 3 trucks to move them, but do that consistently. And you had more people trying to look for freight traditionally. And that's what kind of had us grow. It's figuring out utilizing my assets as efficiently as possible and then being able to scale it accordingly. So, and talking to the right people who have those opportunities. I'm not going to go talk to a local shipper who can do 2 loads a month from San Antonio to Washington if I have to drop trailers. I'm talking to Starbucks. I'm talking to, your Fortune 500s. I'm talking to major retailers. I'm talking to manufacturers because that's my next step, in regards to being either over specialized to find a niche in my market or utilizing my assets in a non-traditional way.
So after hearing you for this podcast so far, it seems like you have a few superpowers. The ones I see are the ability to communicate and really connect with people, the ability to have foresight and kind of see where the problems can potentially be coming from. And then you definitely are amazing at adapting and making sure that you're always able to win. Would you agree? Are those three traits that would make anybody successful?
I don't like to call them superpowers, brother, because I had to learn all those through books, through consistent fires, and just lowering my expectations a lot, and I do appreciate that. But yeah, so I mean, definitely, I try. This is how I'll respond. I try my best.
Good. And of course, you're a super humble guy too, so we can add that to the superpower list. 2024, we're new into this year. What are your predictions for 2024 for the trucking industry as a whole, for your company?
Man, I feel like we are finally gonna hit some type of change. I think that past couple years we've had COVID just absolutely just flood us with trucking companies. You name it, there was a logistics company named after it for like 2 years, right? So now at this point, you saw a lot of exits. We follow DAT's surveys a lot, and that's one thing that we kind of take pride into, but it doesn't affect our market in the grassroots area. But it's just as a turnaround, what I'm going to see is more opportunities to buy used units, which is what I did this year already. I bought 5 that are they used to be 120,000 for a 200,000 mile international. Now they're 80. And that's the market. But then again, 2 years ago, I paid 65 grand for a brand new dry van trailer and I absolutely screwed myself. So either way, it's just abiding by the market. And I think the market is finally turning in the carrier's favor as you consistently stay above ground, above sea level, because a lot of guys are just managing best they can, adjusting the best they can to the market. And a lot of guys have gone out of business. I've taken over a lot of payments on several trucking companies stuff just because it's a good opportunity for us. And it's just you'll see a lot of big companies with mergers and acquisitions. The more that you see that, the more that this C level is still rising on companies. And so when you stop seeing mergers and you start seeing good news, which I believe will be in the second or third quarter, where you'll start to rebound and start to see more freight, then I think that that'll be a great thing for us. And I think that a lot of times, a lot of brokers, traditional ones, may be phased out with just a lot of the artificial intelligence, or mainly just the um, what's the word? ChatGPT is not an artificial intelligence, but it is a um, just a sequence of words. I forgot what it's called. But anyways, as you're continuing, you're going to see um, a lot of artificial intelligence assist us so much so that we are going to have a bloodbath and people who are consultants, the non-traditional, non-asset companies that can't provide a direct change to a supply chain, they're going to be phased out. And I think that they're the ones that are going to stay on are the ones that have all the relationships for sure. But for the most part, as trucking companies, it's a positive to own an asset. And that's always going to be a positive for the next 10 years, at least until trucks start to become electric. Because we are going to be, I think, hopefully, we're going to be one of the first in San Antonio to have a Tesla semi. I reserved it 2.5 years ago. But
Okay.
I think that it's not going to change for the next 10 years at least. So
Mhm.
that's where our infrastructure is at. I think that it's flown under the radar consistently politically, but also there's only so much that trucking companies can give. But I will say, trucking is a business about being resilient. And the guys who are the most resilient, who have given up everything, including the skin on their backs, those are the ones that you see here whose kids get into it, whose grandkids are into it, and who've been here for years. That is the truth. So,
Nice. Very cool. Nice. So definitely a positive year. Anybody looking to get into the CDL industry, that might be a good year to kind of start getting their CDL license ready to rock and roll because there might be, as trucking companies expand, more drivers are going to be needed. Now let's finish up with like your success. How have you grown as a person through all of these challenges that the company has given you as your wealth has increased? Do you think it's made you a better person? And how are you showing up as a leader in your environment?
so one thing I learned early was, especially when I was young, I didn't really have that philosophy mindset of wanting to be successful until I started with Jim Rohn for a long period of time. I talk about him all the time, it seems, but he had a quote that said, "Make a goal to be a millionaire for what it will make of you to become one." And because whenever you have that, the money doesn't matter. And so at this point, my goal was to realize who I was whenever I didn't need the money. And who I am right now, I feel like I can be proud of. I'm just honestly focused on, developing uh, a family, hopefully in the future. When is this going to air? In February, right?
Probably, yeah.
Okay, because on January
This will
the
be in February. Yep.
on the 30th, I plan on proposing. So hopefully she doesn't see this before then. But
Oh,
uh,
nice. Very
yeah,
cool.
so just trying to develop the things that are important in my life that I figured out are the real deal. And I think that um, as I've grown on this journey, that my goal has been to focus on how far I can take it now at this point. How far can I push my disciplines? How far can I focus on the foundation? And how many people can I bring along with me? Because a big goal of mine was to make an impact on others. And I didn't understand what that meant until more recently when I now talk to people and I try to give people the best advice I possibly can on where they're at, whether from a personal standpoint or from a business standpoint. The goal is to make people better and leave an impact and a footprint on people to have a positive impact on others. And that's something that I take pride in. For the most part, I always tell people all I care about is action. You're coming, people, guys came over here, they DM'd me right after, direct messaged me right after my YouTube video. I did my best to help people out. I got a couple of them a contract or two, but that's just because I care about grinders. Like the one thing that I always hire is going to be the one thing that I look for is the hustler's mentality. And I will gladly hire the guy who will smack his head on the wall to figure this out, who's working at the local car wash, than I would the person who's been doing this for 20 years and has a routine. Because all I care about, I don't care who you are, is your willingness to succeed. And you can see that in a person's eyes. You can see that in how they act, their determination. And that's one thing that I take pride in with myself. I try to do a lot of things from a personal standpoint to stay disciplined, to stay sharp, because I know that if I'm not working, somebody is coming to take whatever I have. And that's just one thing that in trucking will always be the case. So always have that.
Amen, brother.
Yeah.
Very cool. So how can people follow you and how can we add value to you?
Yeah, brother. I mean, I have you can follow me on YouTube or subscribe on YouTube, Andrew Gomez 210. I'm starting, that's more of a hobby for me to try and create a community of like-minded individuals who are trying to just focus on growth, focus on being better. It's going to be just consistent videos on how to start 2024, how to rule it, how to be better, how to be more disciplined. There's going to be some business podcasts too, stuff on there as well. So there's going to be some additional tips and tricks to be successful there. And then also you can follow me on Instagram at Andrew dash J Gomez, or excuse me, Andrew underscore J Gomez. And also you can follow AJG Transport on Instagram. So that's basically where I'm at right now. That's my social footprint. I try not to stay on it as much as I have been recently, but we're trying to get into the new year and make a lot of things happen.
Nice, very cool. So we'll definitely put the links for all of Andrew's stuff in the description itself. And last question, Andrew, at the end of 2024, what's your biggest outcome?
My biggest outcome is going to be to get from every single day as much as I could.
Boom. So I have a saying here with my company. My job for all of our employees is to get 1% better every single day. Because when you compound that at the end of the year, you're all 300% better.
That's
So that's
right.
helped our company continue to grow. I can definitely see that you're a very growth-minded person, big heart. I appreciate all the time that you have with us today. I know you're a super busy guy running an amazing, huge company. And anything I can do to help you out to help grow, I'm here for you. Okay, brother?
Hey, I appreciate that. I appreciate y'all's time and overall hope to add value to everyone here. So if you are listening, just make sure that you are locked in for this new year. We're ready for it because other people are locked in and they want to take whatever you got.
That's right. So if you want a great company to work for, and if you're in the Texas area, definitely hit up my friend Andrew and his company. He's definitely going to be able to help you out. If you guys are looking to get a CDL license, come to the best truck driving school in the whole country, Driving Academy. We're here to guide you through every step of the way. We're open up 7 days a week. All you need is $500 down to get started. And we also offer lifetime job placement program as well. So we can help you find work after you actually get your license with us here. Other than that, check out our website, cdldrivingacademy.com. Follow my friend Andrew, and we'll be ready to rock and roll, make 2024 the best year yet. And congrats on your proposal to be, and hopefully many, many years of marriage for you.
I appreciate that. Thanks.
Hey, thank you so much for watching this video. If you like it, make sure you hit that like button. Also, subscribe to our channel. It's really going to help us out. Click on that button. And if you want to continue yourself on your road to freedom, here's more videos to watch. There's endless amounts. Hopefully we get to see each other one day very soon. Thanks.